Welcome back to What to Do Wednesdays. So, we're super excited to be with you again this week. This is so fun. Thank you for bearing with us last week. We have had some learning
Yes.
curves, and this is new for both of us. So, we're just kind of learning the ropes and doing this. We do have our YouTube channel set up. So, our handle is at
DW
WTDW little
small
s.
s.
Yeah, so What to Do Wednesdays. What to Do Wednesdays. WTD W
W
little
small
s.
s.
Yeah. So
All
that's our
caps,
YouTube
little s. WTDW, all caps, little
little
s.
s.
I like
That's
it.
yeah. That's our YouTube handle. So we're excited to be able to come to you again today. And so just kind of exploring our week. How was your
Yeah.
week,
It
Garrett?
was, well, my week was rough. We're behind a little bit, I would say.
Yeah.
But the sickness has been going crazy. So
Right.
I'm just getting over that. Um, I went to Arizona. Went to see saw
Oh,
some friends in Phoenix. That was fun, and
right.
then came back and got sick, and then that's where we're at now. But other than that, it's been great. Caught up with a bunch of my clients. They're doing really well. They're also getting that bug. It's the change of weather time, right?
Right, right.
So,
Yes.
but other than that, everything's going fantastic.
I
I
love
cannot
that.
complain.
That's awesome. Well, I did have a super funny conversation with my daughter, and so having identical twins that are
Yeah,
21, there's I don't know if you guys have talked to 21, anybody probably between the age of 19 and 25 even. There's a different lingo that happens, right? So there's
I did get
there's
that.
just and it's just hilarious when people come to you and they're like, "Oh, I'm so sorry to be trauma dumping on you." I think that's hysterical.
Yeah,
Like these terms that they're using are really funny and they're very relevant.
yeah.
So yesterday I'm talking to my daughter and she says, "Don't rage bait me, mom."
Excuse
I
me.
said, don't what? Don't rage bait me."
Okay,
I said,
before you tell me,
"Okay,
we gotta think about this.
okay.
Rage bait me. So, what was the context of the conversation?
Um, I can't remember what we were talking about.
Is it like gaslighting? Is that like
No,
gaslighting?
no, it's like baiting her to go into a rage.
Oh, I have another
Yes.
word from that. Road rage insiders. That's what I use too. That's kind of like the same thing. Don't
Yes.
get me so mad that I have to take it out on you.
Yes, it was hysterical.
Rage bait
I
me.
said rage bait. She's like, "You're rage baiting me." And I cracked up. I'm like, I'm 48. I put these notes in my phone because
Oh
later
my
I'm not
god.
going to remember the term rage bait. But it's like my favorite thing in the whole world. And I was like, "No, honey, I'm not. I'm not rage baiting you. Like we're just having a conversation." I said, she's like, "You do it all the time, mom. Keep in mind, we're best friends. Like we have a really, really great relationship with both of my daughters.
Mhm.
So we have this
That's
fun
good.
banter." And she says, so I go, "Okay, give me an example. Like let me know. Like if I don't know what I'm doing to rage bait
So now we're
someone,
coming up with a code for you
literally,
guys. She's gonna yell little dinosaur in the
yeah,
middle of Walmart and it's like, sorry, I didn't mean to rage bait you. And then the whole conversation is done.
it's hysterical. I think these terms that they use are so
Yeah,
funny. But what's funny is they're so relevant and they're so
that's
real.
true.
Like they really are. And so or don't body shame me, don't fat
Yeah,
shame me,
no,
don't
that's
I'm trauma dumping. Like all of these
trauma
terms are
dumping.
really funny. So I said, "Okay, give me an example." And she's like, "Okay, you know when you call me and I call you and I say, 'Mom, did you put my money? I need that money in my account for that bill?' And you've already put the money in the account for my bill, and I don't know." And so instead, you're like, "No, I haven't." But yet you have. And I said, "Oh no, honey, that's not rage baiting you. That's just teaching you a lesson to check your account before you call and ask if the money's in there."
That's like to
Yeah.
become an adult before you ask an adult.
That's right. I'm like, I do property management. I don't reach out to someone and say, "Hey, your rent is late," before
No,
I look up and make sure that their rent is
put it in
late,
there.
right?
Right,
Yeah.
right.
So I said, that's just teaching you a lesson. That's not rage baiting you, but in her world, that
Yeah,
is.
well,
And I
because
thought that was
they're
hilarious.
always taught to just ask somebody. If you don't know, ask. Right? Well, okay, well,
Mm-hmm.
stop. Yes, ask the question if you don't know, but first do the research. And
Yes.
if you can't find it out, ask the question. They're just going to
Right.
straight asking the question because they
Right.
don't want to do the
No,
work.
literally. It's hilarious. So my mom's sitting next to me through this whole conversation that I'm
Yeah,
having with her, getting a kick out of it. Because,
yeah,
if my generation thinks this is hilarious, my mom's generation is like, this is mind blowing, right?
yeah.
So it's just hysterical. And so after we get off the phone, my mom and I are having a conversation. And whatever she's doing, I was like, "Oh my god, you're rage baiting me." Like, "Mom, you're actually rage baiting me." We both crack up
So
laughing, but she kind of was.
so now you've worked it into
Literally.
everyday
It's
scenarios.
a relevant term.
It's
I believe it's a relevant term that all
well,
parents need to know.
I would rather use that over, what do they say, fire or
Right.
gas
Yes,
or
yes. No,
whatever the other
totally.
terms are. But rage baiting, I can get behind.
I me too. I loved it. I thought that was really good. And it's kind of a relevant term that I mean, I don't
Yeah.
think I'm going to use with a client, but I'm definitely going to use with my husband, right?
Okay, there you go.
Sorry, Adam.
He's,
Adam
you
is
rage
our
baiter. You.
producer, our director. He's the one behind the camera. So anyway, that was super funny. And
That is
I
good.
had to share that with you because that was like my favorite term in the whole world.
That I mean, I would have been caught off guard too. I'd be like, wait, what?
And I have to ask them, and I'm not gonna listen, I'm not ashamed to say I have Urban Dictionary on my phone.
Good.
There are things that people say, and you just gotta look them up, but don't go too far. Don't look too
No,
far.
yeah, I don't dabble in the weeds too long. Just look up what you're looking up for and then get out. It's really quick.
No,
Get in
no,
and
you
exfil.
got it.
That's
You
it.
got
There's
it.
no
You're
hanging
good.
out.
No, if you hang out, it's over. You're never getting out. No.
You'll find some terms out
That's
real
right.
quick.
That's right.
Yeah.
So anyway, how was your week, Garrett? Anything
Um,
noticed? Anything crazy? It's been 1 week since the election. What have you
you
noticed?
know, with that, I mean, honestly, I haven't noticed a ton on my side. A lot more people I feel like are open to talking about it. I guess more than they were before.
Right.
Or I would say actually a lot in real estate world. A lot more people are reaching out and having
Right.
want to have the conversations about like
Right.
what do you see it happening? What
Yeah.
do you see the predictions of next year going? How do you see this turning better for us?
Right.
And it's a lot more casual conversation than oh well I feel like it was forced
Right.
before, like
Right.
when we were having real estate related conversations
Hmm.
with my clients or becoming clients or whatever. Lately I've been actually getting phone calls,
Yeah.
which instead of me having to reach out, it's been nice to getting
Yes.
calls again,
Yes.
right? And I think that's just been a big change for me in that aspect. Other than that, that's about it. I mean, but a lot more people want to talk about politics now, I guess. I mean, only because it just happened,
Right.
I
Right.
think.
Yeah.
Um,
Which is
that's about it.
literally why we're talking about it. I
Yeah,
mean, it's a relevant
it's hot topic,
happening,
man.
right?
Yeah,
And I have to say, like, I was a little bit concerned over the last 3.5 to 4 years on the division of our country. Like,
mhm,
it did seem like there was a divisiveness and like things were actually being done to divide us. And that was concerning to me.
yeah,
I love Jesus. I want us all to be unified. I do not care what your political beliefs are. I do not care what like you choose, in my
yeah,
opinion, we choose to vote for what is going to impact our lives
right.
and our decisions the most. That's
Completely agree.
that's exactly what voting is. That's your freedom. That's your right to do, right?
Yeah.
So that's and I don't what works for you may not work for me, but it doesn't mean that I don't like you.
Well, I always have a kind of a saying that I always say is like at least have an opinion, like
Mhm.
it's make a decision. No decision is bad decision besides not making a decision,
Right, right.
right?
Yeah.
Like just have an
Yeah.
opinion, and I'd rather respect you for having an opinion than you saying, well, I don't know, I
Right,
didn't even do
right.
anything.
Yeah.
Like, okay, well then you're part of the problem. Like if you
Right.
don't even want to try to give your opinion or what you're doing, like I'm not gonna lash at you for having an opinion. I mean, we're just gonna
Yeah,
have a nice
yeah.
conversation about it,
Yeah.
right? Maybe see your different views. I don't need you to sway me. I don't need to sway you,
No.
but at least make a decision on doing
Right.
something. Because if you just sit there and kind of hold the rope and just get tugged along,
Yeah.
you're really nothing. And I feel like in my world, in this
Right.
society, like go provide for yourself, go do something, pull a little bit of that rope back, right? Like
Right.
be active, don't be just stagnant.
Right. Well, I was pleasantly surprised to see. I don't care whether the color is red or blue, but
Hmm.
to see that how many people in the country
Yeah,
really are on the same side. Like
yeah,
it was so
oh for sure,
interesting to me to see that, well, we're not as divided as I thought we
right.
were.
But then
And
you
that
get the
was
ones
good.
and twos that I think could go a little extreme in my
No,
case.
no, it is so true. And I don't understand what's happening. I'm seeing blacked out Facebook and
Yeah,
social media
mm,
profile pages,
yeah,
and I've literally been deleted. One of my childhood best friends,
yeah,
and I don't care what the beliefs of people are.
right,
I don't post political posts.
right,
I'm not out there trying to make people see it my way. This is what works for me and my family,
yeah,
and I know that everybody else does for what works for them and their
right,
family. So I'm not trying. The one thing I posted on the evening, so I lost my brother
hmm,
a year ago. It's almost a year on December 6th, so
yeah,
last year. And he was a proud American. He
yeah,
was a military vet. He was an engineer for Lockheed Martin. I
Yeah.
mean,
Wow.
he built, he built military,
Yeah.
weapons, right? And he was a huge gun guy. He loved guns. He loved building guns. He was a proud American. And I just know that he would have been so excited for what happened on
Right.
Tuesday night. He
Yeah.
would have. And so I literally posted a picture of JD and Donald Trump and just said, my brother would have been ecstatic tonight.
That's it.
That's
Yeah.
it. And I got deleted by
But
friends.
see, and that's what I was gonna ask is what do you usually use your your social medias for? Like me, it's a lot of business, family, what I'm doing,
Yeah.
kind of connect
Yeah.
with. I've only really had in social medias in general before I became a real estate agent to connect with family when I was gone. Right?
Right.
It's
Right.
the
Yeah.
easiest way. Besides always just emailing, right? You
Yeah.
have it's faster. It's kind of like text messaging, right? You don't have to pay for it.
Right.
That's the reason I even kept my stuff. But now
Right.
it's just to kind of keep up with people around the world that I've made friends with
Right.
now business,
Yeah.
and I don't think I post anything really that political on it.
Right.
But I don't really think it's necessary, right? Because it's just kind of connecting. Like,
Yeah.
what am I doing? Hey, help me with my business, right? Like buy a house, right?
Right. Right.
That's
Literally.
it.
Yeah.
And I would expect probably you're around the same.
Yeah.
I mean, one post or two,
Yeah,
right?
not a lot of
Yeah.
personal. I like to post if there's specific, the funny thing about social media is, like for people that are 25 and under,
Yeah.
they only go on
Oh,
Facebook so the old people can see what they're doing.
yeah.
It's literally
Yeah.
what they do. I mean, my girls will say, "Mom, the only reason any of us post on Facebook is so
Yeah.
that the old people know what
Oh,
we're doing."
they don't have
No,
Facebook anymore.
no.
Facebook's like
Yeah.
28 and over. They
Yeah,
call us
yeah,
old.
yeah.
I don't feel that old, but
Yes.
I have Facebook.
Yes.
I had MySpace when it was a
I do
thing. Okay,
too. I do. I
so
still have
yeah,
MySpace.
yeah,
You still have it if
yeah.
you try to log
I,
into
I
it.
don't even remember what my login would
Yeah,
be at
isn't
this
that
point. Right,
funny?
my first email was like AOL.
Mhm.
Okay, like
Mine was Hotmail.
oh, yeah,
Mine
okay.
was Hotmail. Well, it's funny because now, when you look at social media, I mean, I post things that friends and family, I don't actually ask a lot of my
Yeah,
I don't invite people that I don't know to be a part of my
right.
social media pages. So my Facebook really is a lot of people that we know. So we celebratory stuff, right? Big things going on with our family. And so yeah, it's fun, but that's the family, nothing really political, definitely real estate. That's
Yeah.
fun. If you're not using social media for real estate, you're missing out,
Well, I
right?
use a lot of it for looking up information, right? You'll find a
Yeah,
lot of information on there. And some of the stuff that I was kind of pulling up that's coming out because
right,
with the elections that just happened is what are we expecting for
right.
2025?
Yeah.
I watch a lot of YouTube videos, Instagram videos. We got a phone call. It's coming right now live,
They're
guys. You guys
coming
have
live
a
right
question?
now. Questions are
Um,
coming flying in.
so a lot of these guys are kind of trying to throw predictions out there of what potentially could be
Right,
happening
right.
out in 2025. With the California Association of Realtors, which we're a part of,
Hmm.
they're expecting sales to go up 10%.
Are they?
That's what I've been reading, and a lot of
Wow.
the bigger guys are kind of seeing that. And then there's a bigger one nationally that the stuff that's getting online is saying that they'll be nationally wise, they'll go up 9% in sales,
Okay.
right? So but there's a lot of conflicting views in that too, right?
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
the best way to look at this, guys, is I use AI all the time. And
Hmm. Well, you use Perplexity,
I
right?
do. I use
Hmm.
Perplexity, which is an AI generated app that comes up with your answers and questions and gives you the sources.
Right.
So it shows me, home sales for California Associated Realtors, mortgage rates.
Hmm.
I mean, it's going through all of it, and the sources that they've used was CAR. They use NAR. They use CBS News, housing market, and then Banker. Let me look at this one. Bankrate.com.
Oh, right,
They use
right.
Bankrate.com.
Hmm.
So I got all that information. It gives you guys the sources. We'll kind of show you guys a
Yeah.
picture and stuff, but. Uh, I mean, they're forecasting home prices to increase, and they're looking at sales to increase. What do you think about that?
So I was actually a part of a Zoom call this last week with the California Real Estate Brokers Association. And so it's called CREB. And they did their 2025 outlook.
Okay.
So they basically ask, it's a gentleman who owns an appraisal company out of New York, who's
Right.
the one
Oh,
who
big
kind
wig.
of,
New
yeah,
York.
casts his vision on what nationwide. It's not, even though we're the CREB, we're the California Real Estate Brokers, it's a nationwide
Yeah.
outlook. And so
Nationwide is on your
it was
side.
funny. Thank you. Thank you.
Sorry, I had to get it
No,
out.
I literally have nationwide insurance just because of that song. I'm not kidding you. So anyway, we don't rabbit trail quickly.
Sorry,
So
it was out there.
I
Right.
it was very interesting to me. I feel like it's really hard to get specific people's ideas because political, thoughts come into it. And
Right.
so it was very clear that this gentleman was not a fan of the election. And it was clear on what his predictions were based off of Trump coming into office.
Okay.
So he was talking a lot about tariffs and that's going to raise everybody's prices and it's going to create inflation
Mhm.
and I know that generally that's what it's supposed to do, but I mean
Yeah.
ultimately the goal is to make to start having the services from outside of the country actually produce their
That's
services
their
in the
whole point. Yeah,
country.
come
Yeah,
back to
yeah,
this and then go.
literally.
Yeah, and
So
once
and
and if we
not
do
to get
that,
off on that,
that
yeah,
grows. Yeah,
for
yeah,
sure,
we'll
for
keep.
sure. But I mean, that was like, but when you're saying that on a national platform,
Yeah.
right? You're assuming based off of what just happened politically. And so I was like, well, I don't know. I mean, we're currently in an inflation.
Yeah.
I mean, we're in inflation, we're in a recession, like we're currently in this right now. I don't care what anybody calls it. You can feel it. Everybody knows it.
Yeah.
And so his predictions were that for 2023, things were supposed to be bad, like really bad. 2024, they got a tiny bit better.
Okay.
And so in my world, 2023 was better than 2024. So I didn't even, that
But you
wasn't
also had that
consistent with me.
huge thing that was in the mix at that time, which was getting through this COVID and sickness thing.
Right,
That's a
right.
complete game
Yeah,
changer to how people weren't allowed to leave the house or do
right, right.
anything, let
Yeah.
alone buy stuff. So now I think how it happened, right? Everybody was losing money.
Mm-hmm.
Transition out, everything goes up because
Mm-hmm.
everybody's got to make back the money for the last 3 years.
Yeah.
I mean,
Right,
that's
right.
just that's
Mm-hmm.
science, right?
Right,
Supply and demand.
right,
They had a ton of supply, demand was low. They have to now flip the prices
right.
to sell high to get low.
So one thing that I really felt was interesting in this conversation was that historically, how historically real estate works, right?
Mhm.
Interest rates go up, prices of homes go down.
Right.
Interest rates go down, prices of homes go up. It's just how it
And
works,
pay
right?
attention to that because if you're watching these interest rates and they come down,
Right.
like
Prices of
so
homes are going
where
up,
I
right?
mean, do you want a low interest rate or do you want a high interest rate buying low
That you
and
can
then for it to
refinance. Yeah.
change and then you're sitting on top of money instead of being under it?
Literally. But what's happened in this current market is that they actually said this is the fastest increase in rates increasing in the history of the real estate market
Yeah.
in such a short period of time.
Yeah.
So such a short period of time, they skyrocketed. So that should have, based on history,
Yeah.
created the prices to go down. Prices didn't go down.
Uh,
So we're sitting on a market right now that nobody's ever seen.
right.
Prices are up,
High.
interest rates are up. The
Right.
prices didn't go down.
Yeah.
So it's a really interesting market. We're not really sure what's going to happen. He was predicting that for 2025, it's going to be pretty much the same. His predictions were if we see it get to 6% on an interest rate, that's about it. We're probably not going any lower than a 6% interest rate for
Yeah.
all of you guys that are waiting for it to go lower to buy or sell. And then also really the requirement, or not the requirement, but like what are people waiting for?
Yeah.
So sellers that are sitting on a 3% interest rate, they're waiting for those rates to go down so that they can sell and then buy with a low interest rate again.
Yeah.
But it's
I don't think we'll ever
unfortunately,
get there
yeah,
again. There's no way.
yeah,
I mean, we've talked to people about it. We've had people come on to our weekly meetings. So we
yeah,
have for Berkshire Hathaway Home Services Divine Properties, we have weekly meetings that we get together and Candy's so fantastic about bringing on people to give us information, right? Big wig earners in the real estate world throughout the nation, right?
right.
And they'll come in and they'll tell you, totally just brain dump the entire thought I was just having. You were just
He brain
just
dumping.
dumped it right into the trash can, closed the lid, forgot what I was going at. But So she brings on people that come and talk to us and tell us kind of like how they earn, how they work,
Yeah.
what they're talking about. And they
Interest rates. We were saying
yeah,
interest
as
rates.
soon as I started, I walked back through the threshold, and my mind just hit it metaphorically, right? They say that 2 times in the world's history, from 1970, 40, whatever, back in the day, the rates have only gone below 4% 2 times.
Right.
2 times. That is a long time. And
That's right.
they've only been within the last 20 years.
Right.
So to have that happen again in 20 years, back to back, within 5 years of each other,
Right.
it's no way. The science is there, okay? The math supports itself. I know math teacher, but that's not going to work that way.
Well, and it's in this time period that people are waiting is running out.
Yeah.
So the time period that they're waiting to be able to have those rates go to sell their home, it's running out. The time period they're waiting for the rates to drop in order to buy a house, it's running out. Yeah. And so, and if you're looking into 2025 and the prediction off of the CREB outlook, 2025 outlook was that the rates are going to go to 6, and that's pretty consistent, the 6%. On our
7,
calls,
I think 5, 6. Yeah, I think 6.5 was the average.
Yeah.
If you draw a line from when the peaks were high and market was good,
right.
everybody was buying and trading and flipping, and everybody's profiting.
Right.
6% was the baseline.
Right.
Man, shoot, back when my parents were buying houses, it was. Oh, they said 18%.
It was.
Now it was $190,000 for a 2-bedroom
right,
back
right,
house.
Exactly.
But 18%.
Right.
So
that's
it's
right.
like you guys got to come with what you're going at, right? I think that's where we're
No,
at.
I totally agree. And I feel like we're going to have to make a decision at this point to move forward, because 6% are actually good rates. Yep. And then also now next week, what we really want to share with people is a huge question we get is, how do we get less than 6%? And we're going to talk about that next week. We're going to talk about interest rate buy downs.
You'll find out
how did that happen? Easy. Yes. Like you actually can buy your rate down, or we can request that the seller buy your rate down. And this is going to put you in the market to buy. So we're very, very excited to be able to explore that next week.
Last section here before we get out, we got to go through our questions.
Oh, that's right.
I got a question in. My question was for me. They direct messaged me. Thank you, Jasmine Hadrick, for reaching out to you. They asked what was in the cups.
Okay.
Right. Okay. So beautiful cups that you bought for the podcast. I think they're amazing. We're gonna get some stickers and logos. But it is before 10 o'clock, everybody, that we're doing this. Right. So it's coffee. Mine's just black regular coffee.
That's right. Mine is actually creamer. So I really don't like coffee. So it does have coffee, but probably equal mixes of coffee and creamer.
All right.
My white coffee. Yes. So anyway, we are super excited to have you guys join us. Thank you for bearing with us this last week, and stay tuned for next week, where we can explore more fun things going on in the world and more fun things in real estate. Have a great week. We just want to give you a What to Do Wednesday disclaimer. The information provided in this podcast is for general informational purposes only. All opinions expressed are those of the host and guests and do not reflect the official stance of Berkshire Hathaway Home Services or Berkshire Hathaway Home Services Divine Properties or any affiliated entities. This podcast does not constitute legal, financial, or real estate advice, and listeners are encouraged to consult with qualified professionals regarding their specific needs. While we strive to provide accurate information, we make no guarantees regarding the completeness or reliability of any information discussed. We are not responsible for any actions taken by listeners based on the content in this podcast. Additionally, topics covered in the podcast are based on the host's experience and opinions and may not apply to all situations. Listeners are reminded that real estate laws and regulations may vary by location, and information may become outdated over time. By listening to this podcast, you agree to release the host, guests, and any associated entities from any liability related to the topics discussed.